Okay, I'd like to open our meeting tonight for the Spanish for Kiwanis meeting.
We're grateful that you could be here tonight. I'd like to introduce Brian Kessinger. Brian is a development specialist for the Department of Workforce Services. Brian has had over 15 years of service working with local communities, groups, nonprofits, chambers, educational partners, municipalities, and advocacy organizations. His goal is to improve the local economic situation of struggling individuals. Some of the projects that Brian has been involved in include career counseling with ex-offenders, building beginning recovery programs, and real transition programming. His job is to help those who have had hard time obtaining employment, for example, disadvantaged youth, ex-offenders, disabled vets, and single parents. Brian is married to the former Jana Hodson, and they have 4 children. The Spanish for Kiwanis Club welcomes you, and we look forward to hearing from you tonight. Brian.
Thank you very much. That was a nice introduction, and I appreciate the invitation. I do like to walk around a little bit, so if you don't mind, I'll just come out front and kind of have a discussion. And I appreciate the Kiwanis Club. My daughter actually received a scholarship a few years back when my kids were in school, and so I appreciate the service and work that you guys do in the community. My agenda and goal today is just to give a brief summary about the Department of Workforce Services and go over some of the high-level programs, and then maybe get into the details of the disadvantaged youth and those individuals that are struggling, the underdogs that we like to help find employment. So right now, our economic environment in the state of Utah is amazing. It's in a lot of press releases, and it's renowned throughout the United States that we have some of the best economic growth in the country. Our unemployment rate right now is 2.6%. And so if you're a business owner, or if you have any type of relationships with someone that's running a company or HR department, almost guaranteed they're struggling to find employees. So anyone that wants to work right now is pretty much able to find a job. The real problem is, what kind of job is that? And what kind of wages are they able to get? I did pass out a little program. This is just a pamphlet that quickly goes over our services. So just to open up here on this page, we have a child care program. This is where we provide a subsidy for parents that need help with child care. We can help them pay for child care, and we can also help them find a quality child care provider. And we also help the child care providers set up their business and make sure they're in line with all the regulations that come in providing child care. The next page over, we have our eligibility services, and this is where our department determines eligibility for some of our welfare programs. These are our temporary programs for food stamps and Medicaid and cash assistance for single parents and those type of services. The next page over, we have a housing and development division. And this is where we're looking at, trying to create affordable housing and just work with land development and some of the incentives there with providing affordable housing. And of course, the weatherization program and looking at some new technology to make sure we can try to lower energy bills and costs like that. And we also, the next page over is our Refugee program, where we receive about 10,000 refugees that come into our state each year. And so we have a program that helps connect them into finding appropriate employment. A lot of these individuals are well educated. They're doctors and airline pilots, and you're surprised of what they're coming from. And it really kind of is an eye-opening to realize what type of country we live in and the freedoms that we have. It's very humbling to be part of our country and our freedom. The next page over is rehabilitation. This is the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, where we provide a training program to help those that have a disability. And so we help individuals to receive appropriate accommodations so they can perform well at their job or find a new job. We also have the Unemployment Division. So this is where if someone loses their job, no fault of their own, usually there's a reason behind that, a restructuring or just a loss of profit where they have to lay off their workforce. If they lose their job, no fault of their own, then they're eligible for a weekly claim. So they apply for a weekly claim and can receive a weekly benefit it's a financial subsidy to help them find another job. And we also have in this division collections. This is where we tax our employers that have a hourly wage, and they do a quarterly tax, a wage tax that funds the Utah Trust that provides this unemployment benefit. And then the next page over is the division that I work in, and this is workforce development. And so this is where I work with employers and give them programs, help them with strategies to make their companies more successful. We want to see businesses grow and make a lot of money so they can create more jobs. The bottom line is we're creating more jobs in the community. And as we create more jobs, then it gives individuals that are challenged in finding employment the opportunity to move into those job openings. So on one side, I'm working with the employers to create jobs, and then on the other side, I'm working with the job seekers to help them get future employment and education opportunities. And then the last page is our state economists, that they take all the data, the wage data and the occupational data and the school curriculum and everything that goes into educating our workforce and paying the correct wages. There's all sorts of labor information, LMI, labor market information or wage data that we will share to anyone on our website. It's very fascinating that you can, it even looks at the demographics. So you could drill down into Utah County and look at Spanish Fork and the males and females that live here, the number of population, who's educated, the estimated number of our labor force and what type of jobs they have, even commuting patterns, like how many people are leaving our county to go work somewhere else. So very interesting labor statistics are all published on our website. So that's what Workforce Services does, just a big summary. And now I want to kind of go back to this workforce development, and I'll get into a little bit more detail about the introduction that was given about helping these individuals that are at a disadvantage. The odds are against them finding employment. For whatever reason, they have a hard time entering into the labor market. It could be a mistake, they have a criminal background, they got released from jail, they're an ex-offender, so they're not a really desired job candidate, or maybe they're disabled, or age discrimination. We're the youngest state in the country at an average of 26 years old. And so if you're over 40, you're a protected class and could be subject to age discrimination. But wait a minute, do you think the HR directors will disclose that or admit to that? No, but it does happen. And unfortunately, we see a lot of people that are laid off, right before retirement and right before Christmas. It's kind of sad, but that is a common practice. And so these individuals that have a lot of years and are a professional in their skill are now at a stage in their life that they don't have employment. And so we look at those type of programs. And the disadvantaged youth, and this is a population that I'm really sensitive to or sensitive about. that there's coming from broken homes. We have over 2,000 homeless youth in Nebo School District. And that's just unacceptable. I don't understand, with all our resources, how these youth are homeless. And a lot of them, are prideful, and they don't let us know, and they just couch surf amongst friends. And then the kids exiting the foster care program and the juvenile detention program. So this is a population that I'm working with, and we have some programs there. And then, of course, our disabled veterans, which have served our country and deserve, a special service. So I work with these individuals, this population, and we have programs that we create internships where we'll actually go out and work with an employer, and we'll pay 100% of the wages for 3 months to give them work experience. And so we kind of, I don't want to use the word bribe, that's probably not right, but we strongly encourage to say, hey, hire this individual, give them a chance, and the state will pay for the wages, and we reimburse that for 3 months. And it's been a really good program to make that partnership. We also have on-the-job training, where we will pay 50% of the wages for 6 months and try to get them a little bit work experience. And there's always a learning curve where you start a new job, and so the state will kind of offset that learning curve to make sure that they're efficient in their job and can start making the business money. And then we also have a program with apprenticeships, and the apprenticeship program is, it's been around for over 100 years. It's most commonly known in the building trades with welding and plumbing and machinist and those type of building trades. We're now branching into apprenticeships in all industries. So like with the computer tech companies, healthcare, we're creating apprenticeships in all different industries. And basically, apprenticeship is that you are going to school and working at the same time. And the state will offset some of the schooling tuition. We can buy tools, we can buy books and pay for some lab fees, and really kind of help that long-term commitment between the employer and the employee. The minimum of the apprenticeship is 2 years. So if you sign up on an apprenticeship, you're basically a 2-year commitment that you have education and employment. And within that apprenticeship, there's certain milestones that we increase the wages as they become more efficient in that skill or in that occupation. And it can go up to 4 years. And so, I stand corrected. We also have a 1-year apprenticeship with web development. So that's a fairly new one where there's a lot of computer language and programming and web design. And so we actually will have a junior software engineer that we can create an apprenticeship with. And that's been pretty successful as well. So that's kind of some details of the program. And we also work with the labor unions. And they kind of have a negative reputation. Probably because you have to pay the labor union dues and you have to travel and back in the days where there were some strikes and layoffs and some things there. But the unions right now are absolutely just starving for people. And the Utah labor unions is a great way to go in and start an apprenticeship and get paid while you're getting trained. And when you're finished with the training, you get federal contracted jobs, and they're paying $30 to $45 an hour, 45 for electrician. I mean, they're good wages. Just a fun little story with the labor unions is there was a single mom working at Maverick as a cashier, and every day these guys would come in and get their coffee and get their treats, and they would flirt with this cashier, and she got to know these construction workers. And one of the construction workers just said to the cashier, hey, you could do what we're doing. We're going out on these jobs and we're working and operating heavy equipment and cranes and as a heavy machinery operator. And they said, you could do this. And she's like, no, I don't have any education. I got kids at home. And this conversation went on and she said, okay, I'll give it a shot. So she went and took the test and and got into the labor unions and got paid and left Maverick. And she told her story, and got emotional. It was really sweet, making $35 an hour, and she was in this big, front loader, heavy machinery operator, and it was just a great success story. So those opportunities are available. And so a lot of times, in our community, we have Landmark High School, which is an alternative high school. And a lot of times, the students that don't do well in your traditional classroom setting, for whatever reason, their attendance are poor, maybe they're disrespecting their instructors, and they're just kind of struggling with that public traditional learning environment. And they'll go to Landmark High School as an alternative learning way, and they have these little mini terms, and we'll go and meet with these students, and we'll set up the internships and on-the-job training, and these are smart kids. And if we, it's all about finding what they're passionate about, right? It's finding what do these students want to do, and they're young, they're millennials, we don't relate to them well. If you're not connecting with them, they tune out. They tune out very quickly, and that's a challenge. But if you just get these students connected with something that they want to do, and you get that little win, that little passionate, tugging on their heartstrings, you get a little bit of passion in them, they light up. And we have some great successes in auto mechanics. Some of our local employers here, Dickerson Auto, Clegg Auto, Spanish Fork Auto over behind Wendy's and Spanish Fork, and Napa Auto Parts. Great, passionate business owners that will take these disadvantaged youth and provide a work experience, and will build an apprenticeship. Love's Truck Stop, great opportunity for tire tech. $18 an hour to go and learn how to change the tires and air filters on these big tractor trailers. And they have a diesel mechanic pathway program that they'll buy $5,000 worth of tools, and they'll send these kids all across the country for training. And it's just a great opportunity. So just a couple stories I want to share with you that there are programs out there. And so I guess a challenge that I would ask the Kiwanis Club is, if you come across an individual that's, just in that disadvantaged state, they're struggling, they can't find employment, or they're looking for another job, refer them to Workforce Services. We'd be happy to help them. And then also, if you know business owners that are, really kind of have that generous heart, passionate business owners that'd be willing to give a second chance to, someone coming out of jail that has a criminal background. We have a bonding program that, if they're a shady character and, there's some risk as the company, and with a criminal background, we'll put a bonding program in there, and we'll take away the risk and bond them as like an insurance policy. So we have all these different programs that can really help those individuals that might be struggling to find employment. So my challenge to you is refer individuals that might, job seekers that might need help with employment, and then please refer, passionate business leaders that be willing to try out some of these, programs that help this population. So my name is Byran Kessinger. My phone number is 801-400-9935. 801-400-9935. So that's my cell phone. Call, text. So 400-9935. Bring on the referrals, and let's work together to help grow our population so everyone makes more money. All right, so any questions? Yes?
So if for internships and such, so does the state, if a company takes on, one of these individuals, does the state help fund them through that internship, or is the employer responsible for paying their wage?
No, so the question is, if we set up an internship, is the employer paying the wages or the state paying the wages? So the state will pay the wages. So what happens is they have to apply for our training program. Once we get them approved, then we'll go and set up an apprenticeship and go through the paperwork. We're government, so we always have documentation and paperwork. And that's a reimbursement program. So the employer will put them on their payroll, just like any other employee. So they're doing their payroll and they're getting paid, the hourly wage. And then once they get their first check, well, every check, they send us a copy of the check, and then we'll mail out a reimbursement that covers 100% of that wage. So those internships are primarily for the youth. Those are ages 14 to 24 is our internship youth program. And it's just work experience. So we pay 100% of the wages. And then at the end of 3 months, there's no obligation. The employer just can say, hey, the internship's over, and we let them go. They can let them go, and we'll go and find another internship. Or since the intern is already on their payroll, we kind of nudge them and say, hey, they're on your payroll. If you've already trained them, why don't you just keep them without the wage reimbursement? Sometimes we can get creative and we can move from the 100% wage reimbursement to on-the-job training, which is 50% of the wage reimbursement, and provide more of a training program. And then if they have a disability, then we'll kind of expand it to a longer period of time using Voc Rehab, vocational rehabilitations funds, and we'll extend that program so we can continue to reimburse the wages. So, if it's appropriate, we can reimburse wages for 12 to 14 months until they're really trained, and we hope that they become like indispensable, that when these programs end, the employer's like, don't let them go, they're an asset to us. And we're going to lose money if we lose this individual, right? We recognize that businesses are primarily there to make a profit. Well, they have to make a profit to keep running. And so we hope that these individuals that are on these training programs, can start bringing in money for the company and keep them.
Where are you located out of?
So I'm in the Spanish Fork office. It's right there across from the Super Walmart and behind Deseret, Deseret Book and Deseret First Credit Union right there. Over the Canyon Creek development. But I'm not in the office a lot because I'm out in the community visiting employers and going to all sorts of meetings. But I gave you my phone number, and if you text me, and I'll schedule an appointment, and I'll be there for you if you work on scheduling an appointment with me. But, yes.
So is that the best way to go about, if you know of someone, to have them contact you, or just have them contact Workforce Services?
I am the point of contact for businesses, and so the cell phone number is the best way to get a hold of me. But you can go into the office. They'll give you my card, and you can send an email. I'm only one person, so I am kind of booked out usually 2 weeks out, but. I try to do my best, especially if that's an employer that has a lot of job openings. You kind of go where the opportunities are. But that's the best way on the employer side. For job seekers that you want to refer, just go into the office, and they have a bank of computers, and they can talk about the training program and all these programs that are listed in this booklet: food stamps, Medicaid, childcare, cash assistance. They can just walk into the Spanish Fork office and receive help. All of our services are online, so the website is right there on the front, jobs.utah.gov. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can log on and apply for these programs and learn about them on our website. Yes?
Expand more into the services you offer employers.
Okay.
Like, for instance, your job fairs or
Yes.
facilities in your building.
Yes. So we do bend over backwards for the employers. The businesses in our community are number one customer because all our programs, the end result is a job, right? And so even individuals on food stamps, we want them to increase their wages and have a livable wage so they can, eventually leave government welfare public assistance programs. So employers and increasing wages and that employment, getting a job is our number one objective across the board. So in our office, we provide a free conference room and free offices and cubicle space and free computers that are available that you can just call and reserve and have a meeting there. And we just recently had a large job fair for Lowe's. Lowe's opens up next week, and they came into town and just took over our building. And they used our conference rooms and all our cubicles, and they said, we need to hire 150 people. And they were really worried about doing that because the applicant pool is low and the unemployment is low. But they came in and they hired their 150, and they said, this has been the smoothest store opening that we've ever, across the country, ever experienced. They said the numbers are low, but here in Spanish Fork, the job candidates are high quality. And I'm like, wow, that is really cool. I got really good tingly feelings, and our department's gonna do a little marketing video to say, hey, our department's great, look what we did. But it was really a nice compliment, and so that's kind of the services that we can hold the job fairs. We really will do whatever we can to help the employers, come to town and hire, our citizens, and really be part of the community. We always refer them to the Spanish Fork Chamber and try to get them involved in kind of the civic duties of being part of our community. And the Chamber's been great. We have a great partnership with Spanish Fork City and Spanish Fork Chamber, and it's been fun. And employers love it here. And I think just by looking at everyone that's coming, Chili's heard about the job fair we did at Lowe's, and they came and they said, hey, we want to use your building too. And I'm like, all right. And so, so now Chili's is coming, and they'll be opening up on the second week of December. So we're gonna have a really nice sit-down restaurant right across the street from our office. So employers are our number one customers, and whatever we can do to help them, we'll send out email blasts. We try to connect job seekers with those job openings, and we really try to roll out the red carpet for those employers that are hiring. So.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
About refugees, for example. I'm not sure that there's a lot in Utah County versus Salt Lake, but would they just go to one of the workforce service centers then to receive that kind of help that you're talking
Yep, we have a statewide team that just specifically focuses on our refugees, and they are based out of Salt Lake, and so the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints works very closely with our department and the refugee services, and so we like to kind of keep them together. They tend to really kind of live and work in clusters. They just come from this background of fleeing the environment of their countries, and they come here, and it's really an eye-opening experience for them, and they just really bond with one another. And so you have all these different nationalities and different languages that really work together, and we reach out to employers that will hire the refugees. I think our best success is just because of the language barrier is kind of the manufacturing type jobs. We send a lot to like the Norbest turkey plant in Moroni, Hallings Tomatoes in Mona that does the greenhouse and farming tomatoes, and there's some the ski resorts up in Park City. The resorts will hire them a lot in like snow removal, and some of them that will operate the snowcats and the chairlifts and things like that. So so we're placing the refugees wherever we can, but there's a higher concentration in Salt Lake County, mostly because of the housing opportunities.
Besides, maybe it's a multi-pronged question here, but what are the trends what are the positions that you're seeing growing that you need to fill?
Yeah.
So what might people be looking to go into?
Oh, good question.
And then do you have any kind of idea or feel for just the whole new type of employment?
Yeah.
Electronic, people on the internet and so forth. How is that shifting how the
Right.
workforce goes?
Yeah, well, really good question. All right, so that was one question, but I heard like 5 in there. So, okay, so right now, occupations in demand. Commercial truck drivers, machinists, welders, construction trades, building, excavation, those type of jobs, anything related to building. We have a housing shortage, and with Silicon Slopes and all the different tech companies that are coming to that part of the county is really a large demand. So just the nature building. Right now I think probably the easiest job for me to put someone in is heating and air conditioning. So that HVAC industry, there's probably half a dozen companies that are calling me and really, just kind of begging for workers. I work with the technical college, Mountain Land Technical College, right? MTech. And so they have advisory boards, and I went to the heating and air conditioning advisory board, and I took a resume with me of a veteran that was approved for our benefits and wanted to go into the heating and air conditioning industry. And I presented, a scenario and held up the resume, and literally every employer fought over this resume. And I basically, it was a little awkward. I'm like, I don't want to, favor one company over another. And I just said, all right, whoever emails me, I'll give them, here, make copies. Here's his contact information. Whoever can interview and offer this job to the person first, I'll set up the program. And so we had Absolute Air in Mapleton, was like same day, called the guy, got him in for an interview, offered him a job, and we set up an on-the-job training and apprenticeship, the same week. And so that was kind of a fun, interesting, experience. But it kind of shows the demand that is on these heating and air conditioning companies. And one of them, Southern Comfort, got a HUD contract, Housing and Urban Development contract. It's a federal contract that was worth like $25 million worth of work. So in the next 3 years, they have all this work they need to do for affordable housing to fulfill this HUD contract. And so, he literally begged me. He's going to go into Landmark High School tomorrow and teach and present the opportunity to some of the kids, the students in Landmark High School. And I didn't think the students were ready. And he literally begged me and texted me. And I said, and I talked to the teacher, and they said, okay, we're not ready for him in the term, but we'll let him come. And so, that's just kind of the occupations in demand. For the future, 2020 is a year to remember. We have Facebook that is going to be opening up. We have the airport that'll be finishing, brand new airport that'll be finishing. We have the inland port that's going to be, talk about the world. We have a World Trade Center in Utah, and that opens up all sorts of exporting opportunities. We have the state prison that will be moving, that's going to be opening up prime real estate for these tech companies. And we have this cybersecurity is a big deal too, very big deal. But the what's that coin? Cyber currency? Cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin. Whether you're a fan or not, Bitcoin has created a very secure process called blockchain. And so IBM blockchain is something to watch for the future. So this is where it is 100% secure, where there will be a history on all things online. And so your official documents, your passports, your birth certificates, social security cards, whatever you want to really be secure, you can put them in a blockchain environment, and blockchain will be 1,000%. I'm on record in camera here. I'm very, very confident that blockchain will be a future of cybersecurity, and and because of this Bitcoin thing, this discovery or invention of blockchain security will solve all identity hacking problems. And so with that, you'll have I won't get into any details, but it's just a crazy, fascinating thing that, just watch for IBM blockchain. And we have our representative, Michael McKell, District 66, right?
He's in our club.
Is he in our club?
Yeah, he's in our club.
Where is he? Because he would talk about blockchain. He would talk about blockchain for hours. He's actually sponsoring some sort of bill in this next legislative session that will have a resolution on blockchain. So reach out to our representative, Mike McKell, and ask him about blockchain and see what he says, because that's kind of the future of some of these tech jobs. So really exciting times for our youth. I remember when I was looking for my first job, and I started working in the fruit packaging plant, picking cherries and sorting cherries, and I was really happy to get that job. It was a big deal to get that job at 16. And then I was driving the forklift, and I got hazard pay, and I think I got 75 cents more an hour, and that was awesome. And my friends looked up to me because I had a summer job. And it was really hard to get a job back when I was in high school. But the youth these days have incredible opportunities that employment and good paying jobs and educational opportunities are really, really quite amazing for good paying jobs, great educational opportunities, and for pointing them in the right career, rolling up their sleeves and kind of getting them passionate and interested in one of these industries, they can make a really good living. So, did I capture all those questions?
Close enough.
Close enough, all right. Thanks.
I just have a question. As a medical provider, I'm just curious, how do you determine who is disabled?
Yeah, okay. So for vocational rehabilitation, they just ask for medical documentation that says that they're disabled. So it can be, mental health or physical health, any type of challenges that would require some sort of accommodation or retraining to help them be successful. So it's pretty broad. And then for the youth internships, the federal government gives us a list of barriers that says this youth is at risk from becoming a successful adult. And so we do have to run through some policy barriers, and so one thing of interest, a note of interest is, a Native American is on that barrier list. So just living on the Indian reservation and being part of a Native American tribe, they're eligible for some of these programs because that is a barrier from them being a successful adult in our economic environment. So, good.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for your time, and appreciate it. Yeah, thanks.
Really do want to thank you. I think that this was a lot more interesting than any of us had even thought.
That's great.
And it makes us think about what we need to do in our community to help our youth, our disabled vets, our single mothers. And we appreciate your time here tonight. And we did want to thank you and give you the certificate of appreciation.
Thank you.
Turn that around just a second. There you go. Perfect.